Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all here in good health, and we thank you that we can look upon each other as friends and family, and can say that we love each other. We ask that you give us a heart to work together today in this meeting, and that we come up with solutions and come up with decisions that are equitable to everyone involved. Lord, we ask all these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. And the prayers, pledges. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge of Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Hey, received comments from the public.
Which time do I have?
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Have these out. My name is Alan Hedengren, and I would like to address an issue related to the Spindle Tree Loop. Residents of the Black Oak subdivision, since moving in, many of them have put up gates.
Thank you.
And they've mowed and destroyed quite a bit of the vegetation. And you can see from the pictures some of what they've done. Thank you. The first picture is just this is the east side of the loop, but this impacts the east and the north side of the subdivision. And this all borders mud property as well as Howard Hughes on the north. The second pictures, you can see a resident put up a gate as well as a gravel trail, which impedes the swell of the mud as well as encroaches on the property. They cut down trees and vegetation to do that. And you can see multiple examples of that. And on the last page, on the top picture, shows quite a large area that a mower recently mowed down, approximately 50 trees, and as well as vegetation. I've tried to I've reached out to Davidson Homes, which builds the homes in that area. They gave me the construction manager's phone number, but he hasn't responded to my call. They've left a lot of trash, as well as the residents are cutting down vegetation. My request is that Woodlands Water sends letters to the Black Oak residents living on Ash Juniper Way and Blueberry Ash Street, advising them they're not permitted to disrupt the vegetation behind their homes. And also request that the resident on Ash Juniper Way, which cut vegetation and installed a crushed granite trail, that they need to remove the trail. Also, a request to post no mowing signs at the impacted areas. And I'm happy to post the signs. I put a few up. It'd look nicer if it was on official Woodlands Water signage, but I'm happy to bear the cost of that as well as the mailing. But just would like Woodlands Water to take action so that no additional trees and vegetation are destroyed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, so let's discuss that on the agenda next month. Okay. If you'd like. Okay, so consider an act request for adjustments. Have any? Okay. We have the consent agenda now. Does anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to separate item 5, which is reviewing the meeting minutes. There were some important discussion topics that were not covered. So I'd like to separate that
Okay,
item
so
out.
we'll move that to the regular agenda. So how about items 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? Anybody have any other issues they want to remove?
Like to reiterate what Joseph said, number 5. I also want to make a motion based on one of the aspects I bring up in number 5. I'd like to review the district's financial draft, pages 24 through 26. And I want to also confirm that in item 10, Tom's request, I would like to see if that was confirmed and that was done.
So let's like keep track. So you okay with 6? Item 6.
I'm okay with 6,
6, you okay with 7?
okay with 7.
Okay with 8?
We're talking about 2 different things. He's reading off of the minutes of last month.
Yes, the
Oh, no, I'm just talking agenda items. So that's not,
So there's
That's all right.
there's a,
so we
there's a
have
motion on-
agenda item 5 we want to pull out.
Yes,
But
is.
how about agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10?
I'm talking about is in number 5.
Okay, so I'd like to,
So you second the motion? You
Yes,
split
yeah,
it?
okay,
yes,
yeah, split it.
absolutely.
Well, the
I'd like to get a motion to pass
6 through.
6 through 10. So let's have can I get a motion to approve item 6 through
I'd
10?
like to propose a motion to
Have-
approve
have a-
6 through 10.
Can I have a second? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we have, I guess we have, 10B,
Number 5.
number 5, and we'll move it. So we're finished consent agenda. Now we're gonna go into the regular agenda and we'll begin with item 5.
Yes. So if you turn your attention to the meeting minutes that are on page 7 of our packet, item 12, during the discussion of the discussion and or act on water line renewal plan and analysis completed by HDR engineers, I had 2 main points that were not covered. I just want to read out the information and then I can go into more detail. But I had made the point that the key takeaway from the HDR study on pages 6 and 64 was that the break history was the key predictor of future breaks. That was point number 1 that I made at the time. I'd also like the record to reflect the second point, which was therefore it makes sense to prioritize pipes with breaks and or higher standard risk scores when doing so. So that there's only there's 5 pipe segments that have scores that are greater than 27, and the total estimated replacement cost of approximately $8.3 million. So I reviewed the video of our meeting on August 20th to make sure that that was an accurate statement. Those are 2 things that I'd like added to the meeting, to the minutes. And there were a couple other points
Do you
that I
have
made.
that in writing?
I do.
Future, if y'all have changes to the minutes prior, if you could
Send them
to us,
earlier.
we can get all this taken
Yeah.
care
Take care
of.
of it.
Yeah, I will. Unfortunately, I sent it too late, so I'm okay tabling this till next
No,
month.
no,
if you
Yeah,
wanna-
well, just send me what.
Okay.
you want
Just
to
give him a written copy so
That's
he
all.
knows what to
Yes,
print in
yes.
there.
I didn't give you guys enough head time. I sent it yesterday, which may not have given you
Nope.
enough time.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so we have that change. What about the
Yes,
next
the
one?
other 2 changes have to do with the points also under the discussion, was that the map that I presented, also there's a copy of the map in the email I sent Shelley, and
This is the same item 12?
this is the same item, Tom. I'd like the record to reflect that I presented a map with the proposed segments that correspond to the town center, and that most pipe segments have 0 breaks or have low standard risk scores. That's point 1. Point 2 was that the cost of the project can be decreased and or scoped down by working according to the risk priority. And so those were the points that I wanted reflected during that discussion.
What was the second point, please?
The second point was that the cost of the project can be decreased or scoped down by working according to the risk priority. And this verbiage is, I've sent it to our managers in writing, so if they can spread it out. Yeah. And I apologize because it was sent at the last minute. Yeah,
Yeah, anything else? Just 2 items?
those are the 2 items, yes.
Okay, so you got the written copy, you can make the adjustments. How about Fred? Which ones do you want to cover?
I'd like to go over specifically page 4 of the minutes from the last meeting, item 19. The correction was not made, and I believe it's material. And it was not made as of 1:43 this afternoon when I checked on the Google Drive. And it says specifically in number 19 that the motion was carried unanimously, and that's not accurate, and it's material for going forward. It was said that it would be changed, and I'm sure it's an oversight.
Is this month's minutes or?
No, it's the minutes from last month,
Okay.
the August meeting.
August meeting.
Correct.
Didn't we vote to approve those minutes?
He made the point last month and it's not reflected.
That's correct.
Right.
Right. In other words,
So this is last month's meetings.
yes.
Right, okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
So what line number was that? What number?
It's number 19. It's on
The
page,
official minutes were changed. We can update the website. That's easy. That's just the best one.
well, I don't have a copy of that. I can only go on what's available to
You
the
found it
public
on the website?
on the Google Drive.
Okay. Oh, on the Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the packets are. That's not what's there.
Okay.
That was the original minute that you're reading.
Yeah, from,
I would have
We
thought,
don't replace them on the Google Drive. We make the changes and file them.
Okay.
But we can get you a copy.
but you're talking about August
No, I think that
or July.
July.
the July minutes.
it was in the August package.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Which was referring to the July minutes.
Minutes.
Yes.
We'll get you a copy of the revised. minutes.
My only concern is in the rare event that our constituents want to see what we're doing and how we're doing it. I don't want them to think that I was the one that agreed with that action because I disagree with it. And it also begs the question, from my perspective, that when we make changes to any of the minutes, I'd like to get a documentation that those changes have been made. And I would like to propose a motion that the general manager or his assignee confirm it in writing to the board, only so we know that it has been done, because there were several other items that were not changed on the Google Drive that we did talk about.
I second the motion.
I'll make that motion that we get it in writing.
Because we don't need a motion. It's already in writing. We can just get.
Okay.
So let me ask a question. So let's not talk about the Google Drive. So when you go to your website and when you go to our page, page 46, you post minutes on that page. That's the side minutes you post on that page, right? So
That's a legal requirement.
legal requirement.
You have a
So
website.
the question you have is, instead of going to Google Drive, you go to our webpage and you scroll down there, it says minutes and agenda, and that's the legal document that we've agreed to.
And
So
I'll confirm and make sure.
you confirm that, yeah. So instead of going to Google Drive, you go to that page
It's
Yeah.
public.
and see what you have.
Just want to go to a different color pen so I can highlight it and take care of it. Okay, go to my 46.
What else you have, Fred?
Okay, I can do that. I'm going to pass on the other items that I've observed, because I believe that it's going to give a update of the Bear Branch maintenance report that he issued, correct? Yeah, let's pass on that then, the other items that I've got.
Okay, so can I have a motion accepting Joseph's changes and approve item 5?
I'll make the motion to
Get it?
make the changes and approve number 5.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Next one is consider an act on the district's draft fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget and recommended water rate structure.
Okay, there's a revised copy that's out there today, if you haven't gotten it. The main change that we did was related to the Bear Branch Dam. In the updated budget, we put your share of engineering to complete all phases of the project as it was recommended by Schnabel Engineering. And so your share per the existing contract was $80,900 of the 500,000. So that was put into all 5 of the stakeholder MUDs for approval. You're the 5th this week, so all 4 of them approved that piece of their budget. And then we also, in the initial draft, we had this. In the one you got Friday, it was out, and that is there's $42,175, and that is your share of the annual maintenance, which was presented previously at 260,000 for all 5 participants. So that 42,175 is your share of that. That's just the regular.
Right.
Let me ask the question
Okay.
backwards. If the original draft, okay, that we got on the 15th of last month was 42,175, and this month's portion of the Bear Branch Mud 46 expenditure is 80,900, why wouldn't you add the two? What is that,
We
80,000?
did the one that we
Oh,
presented.
so is it now 133, which is what it was before?
Correct.
So let me say, so Fred, you had a question for Ed about the Bear Branch Dam, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
I postponed it because I asked if he was going to be covering it.
But what's happening now is the budget reflects some of the discussions that associate with Bear Branch Dam. So I don't know if we want to pause this and let,
Well, if we're going to approve the budget now,
but
then the answer would be yes. We do want to pause. If we don't.
That's right. That's right. I think Ed should,
Budget is for approval today. So
Ed should maybe speak, and then we can come back to the budget.
Fred, is your question on Bear Branch on the maintenance side of it, not?
Not the maintenance side now.
Okay.
I think it's pretty complete on the maintenance side, don't you think? Yes, sir. I had it here a minute ago. Here it, yeah. Will we be getting updates on these? Or is this the final update?
No, that's the monthly update that we provide you saying, here's what we've done during the month. And
Got it.
it's just a monthly update.
So, and I think there's an explanation needed on the dam repair, the $80,000 that was put in for the dam repair. I think that's where, I think that's probably new news to people.
Yes, it is. That's why I asked.
And, I think that,
Eric's been
Maintenance
talking
or-
I mean,
about
I
that
can
in
speak on
previous
it,
meetings.
you guys can speak on it, do you
that's
want?
what I was trying to explain earlier, but so recall the engineering for the original scope of the project was already funded. It was $700 and some odd thousand. Schnabel was going for preliminary engineering months ago, identified that there was the issue which they recommended to not just deal with the service spillway, but also deal with the auxiliary portion of the spillway. The result, but that additional scope did not have funding, and the additional amount to fund that additional scope on the engineering side of things is roughly about $500,000. So we put that into each of the stakeholder MUDs budgets to get at least the engineering moving forward for the entire scope. Subsequently, there's also been discussion at the non-stakeholder MUD meetings to talk about possibly their involvement in maybe participating in the construction of the project. I felt like as we went through those meetings, there was a good bit of debate in certain districts that it appeared that it wasn't going to be an easy step. And so I split those two discussions. Let's focusing on the engineering, just so we can get that moving. And then we can come back to those MUDs and identify who wants in, how much, whatever. And then ultimately, everyone's share likely is, or y'all's share is likely going to go down once we identify the non-stakeholder MUDs who wants to participate. So for this month, all we did was add your share of the 500,000. So the full engineering scope can be begun and move forward. That's where we're at.
So what really comes, we're approving the money for design only. But not, so that's 80,000. So, there was a phase 1 and phase 2, right? So the design has been combined so that phase 1 and phase 2 are now let's just call it phase A. That's a combination
Project.
of the project, and we're paying for design only. What hasn't been resolved is that, you know, he's gonna do design and come back with a price to us a year or half from now, probably. And he'll ask for us to, yeah, in the beginning with phase one, the ask was in cash, the ask was 500,000. Right? Wasn't it for my mud, for our mud? Oh, you don't know, I haven't.
That may be-
I have my numbers
Yeah.
memorized.
It's about 500,000. So he'll come back in 18 months and ask us for that. But what's unknown, what was not in that number was phase two. And I don't think that's been,
We've got some estimates.
you got some
That's all.
estimates. So we really haven't presented phase two, but what complicates that is in phase one, we got 3-some million from the federal government.
Correct.
$3.6 million from the federal government. And so that made our contribution, let's just say 500K. So in phase two, I call it the left-hand side of the dam, you know, there's talk about getting an additional lump of money from the federal government, but that at earliest, that's probably going to happen is first quarter of next year.
The earliest we'll know whether they approve
Right.
the earmark is by the end of this year,
And you mean physical year or calendar year?
calendar.
Calendar. So, you know, we don't know that yet. We don't know the number. And so that could be an additional ask above the 500. And it depends on whether we get federal money or we don't get federal money. And, you know, so, you know, there was a group that was offering to contribute. Okay. Offering to contribute. The way, I don't know whether it was Ed or Eric laid it out. You mean, he basically did the SFDU role. And if we accept that role and take their money, the amount of money going to the project stays flat, but the SFDU count goes up. So we would have to contribute about $95,000 more than we would contribute without their participation. And so, to be honest with you, there was a lot of discussion of that, and we needed to move forward with the design. So it's good to break that apart and let's figure out. You know, I had a meeting with Metro and Mud One, with, you know, 2 guys from Metro, 1 from Mud, and what I encourage them to do is they should have what I call a top off fee. You don't change the SCD contributions, just top it off. And I was saying this project's going to run to 2030. And we've already had about since we first talked about this, about a 37% increase in the cost of the project in the past few years, right? From when you first brought it up to now, it's went up a good bit.
Well, it first started out about 5.2, 5.4 million. It's now for phase one, 6.825.
Yeah.
So we've had some increase, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, we have time to discuss the funding of phase two. We can see what the federal government does, and then we can figure a way for Metro Mud and Mud One. I think they're the main people of interest, how they can contribute to the project without, you know, basically, if we follow what was presented to us, they'd contribute a couple $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, but our costs would go up 93 because of the SFDU calculation. So I thought we really didn't want to do that. I think your comment last time was, why change something that's not broken?
Mm-hmm.
And so we said, okay, let's get this taken care of, which this design does, and then we can come back and figure out how for them to contribute in a way that, you know, keeps our funding, everybody's funding flat. And to me, maybe they pay for, we know we're going to have inflation, right? If this project comes in at the same price, it'll be a shocker. Let them contribute to the overruns.
I could add, I've been working on an alternative way to.
That's good.
That will be more along the lines of what you're suggesting.
And to work all that out was too complex in a week.
Well, that, and I didn't want it to cloud or slow down the progression of the engineering of the project, because that will allow us 12 to 15, 18, whatever it is, to work that out.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
couldn't have this debate slowing down the other piece. So that's why I pulled them apart.
Yeah, the engineering part makes an awful lot of sense. That's not my question. I got 2 questions that this brings up from comments that y'all just made. How can the SFDUEs change if we contractually purchase SFDUEs?
No, it
No,
doesn't change in that way. So what happens is.
Can I
oh,
summarize it
you-
really quickly?
I'll just do it real.
Please do. You're smarter than this
The
one.
current pro rata splits is based on
Drainage.
the connections that are within the drainage that flows to that. And so not all of your district flows to that. When you add people in that don't flow anything, the philosophy that was used is use all the connections.
Right.
The reason it goes up is now you're adding in a bunch of 46 connections
Right.
that aren't in the current equation because they don't flow into it.
Right.
But when you add other participants that already aren't flowing into it, it's like, well, how do I do the proratas at that point?
Right.
So the first stab at it was just do it on overall connections. Well, that adds so many more of your connections
My 46
into the
connection.
equation, 46 connections, that the actual number goes up. So that's why I'm saying, and I acknowledge that too.
Yeah.
We talked about it and I said, I think by the way, that philosophy also is troublesome for a couple other districts
That's right.
financially anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I would really like to get all 10 districts to somewhat participate. And I think I have a way to look at it. It may not be big participants, and it may be more than zero
Yeah.
in a couple of cases, if I can convince them that there's maybe a different way to look at it, like a number per household.
Yeah.
That could be, like $5 per household or $10 per, I mean, that way people can relate to that
Mhm.
more than SFDVs or connections or
Mhm.
whatever. So that's not for y'all because y'all have a contract already that covers it. But as I try to get some of these other folks involved into donating or participating in the project, I'm working on ways to get there.
If you
If that
take a
makes
look at
sense.
the audit report, I believe that there was some points brought up that we were using dollars as opposed to SFDUEs. And Mud 46, which is the largest district, seemed to have a lower amount of dollars contributed than much smaller. And we talked about this back when the audit report was brought up twice. And we were told, as I recall, that we'll take care of that over the year and it'll all work out in next year's audit. That's not how I'm used to doing audits. So I let that go because it was too complicated to change. Does this affect that or relate to that in any
Has
way,
nothing to
shape,
do
or
with
form?
it.
Okay.
But that's nothing to
Okay.
do.
And there was also parts where Mud 46 is contributing to aspect projects that we don't benefit from, but we did it for the sake of unity for the community, for all of the muds. Isn't that correct?
Not aware of it.
Done.
What is that? Yeah.
I'm going by notes I didn't bring.
I mean, the only way you could,
I don't think there
you
is.
can vaguely do that is the Bear Branch, Panther Creek. You could look at it maybe that way because there's two elements. There's a transportation element and there was a flooding element.
Right.
And we're not in the flooding element, we're in the transportation
Transportation
element. So in a way, you could maybe think of it in that way, but
Well, that's how it was described at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, that's very generous. I'm glad we're doing that. And then we went to the Bear Branch one and it's only 5 versus the 10. So it seemed like you're going down the path of doing charity, assuming all the muds participate. Correct.
Trying to get there.
Good. Okay.
Trying to get everybody there. And if the more success we do with that, your cost continues to just go down.
Okay,
That's-
good.
It's probably an easy sell if you tie it somehow to floodplain, 100-year, 500-year, and overlap the geographical region. I'll bring this up in the future.
Everybody
Item
drives on
17.
Kirkendall Road.
I think if we simplify it instead of complicated.
Yes, sir.
yeah, that needs to be
That's true.
Everyone
Sure.
drives on Kirkendall Road.
okay.
That's easy enough.
Okay, so any more questions about the budget?
This is
What's that?
next year's budget. I have no.
Oh, no, we've been asked to approve the budget
Yeah.
this year.
So I make a motion to
And I'll second it.
Okay,
approve the budget as presented.
okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. It's done.
Going to the,
And then we have to do the rate structure, right? Did we,
well,
Water sewer rates, which are not changing, the retail rates are not changing. The surface water conversion fee is going down by 5 cents per thousand as previously. We thought it would.
Yep.
That's the only change to the water sewer rate item 12.
so any comment on that?
I think I did, hang on for a second. Okay, I asked that question, any changes to those, the answer I just heard was no.
Just the
Lower.
5 cents on the GRP rate to 292. And retail rate, we've only changed our retail rates once in the last 10 years. That was last year in 2024. We did a rate study in 2023 that kind of moved us to that. In the budget for all the MUDs is a portion for us to renew that rate study just to see how the rates are working to the budgets.
And no change to the levy of taxes, correct?
That's the next item on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So no change to retail rates, GRP rate going down 5 cents. That's what's in this item.
And that's item 12, OS 12.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to vote on that. Any,
Yes.
I want just one last clarification question. Does that mean that the rate on the bills will reflect, do the customers see that there's a lower rate
no,
or not necessarily?
See the lower rate, we typically what we'll do, like on the community outreach stuff is we will report to the community that there's been a change in the rates.
Mhm.
It won't, I think we took the rate part off. There,
They're all on the backs of the.
All the back of
Right,
it,
okay.
correct, yeah.
so will it say it changed by this much and
Mhm.
explain it out? Maybe not, but it'll show what the rate is.
Okay. A motion to approve.
okay, have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, conduct public hearing regarding district's intent to levy a 2025 rate. Do I have to close the meeting, open the meeting? Yes, okay. Okay, I close our regular board meeting. I open the public hearing now. Any comment?
Members of the public present, you can close the public hearing.
Close the public meeting. And we open the board meeting. Okay, so we've got 13.
Smoothest transition so far today.
Okay, so consider an act upon the levy for the district's 2025 tax rate and the adoption of an order in connection thereof.
All right, so the rate was published in the Courier, correct? And the rate that was published was 0.1445 for debt service. Well, actually, total rate was what was published, which is 0.174633, correct? All right, so that's what we published. That's the max you can levy. That's what your budget was built on. That total tax rate is comprised of 0.1445 for debt service and 0.03133 for maintenance and operations.
And just something we've talked about every year is that brings a net gain loss to a gain of 1.7 for this budget. And brings your reserves up to 9.4 months, which is, as you recall, we had some goals a few years ago and we've been working our way up. So good job.
Sorry.
Okay, any more comment? Okay, can I have a motion to pass that levy?
make a motion.
Have a second?
Approve item 14.
I have a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, approve and execution of amendment to the 16th Amendment and restated district information form.
All right, this is the district information form is the document that's required by the water code. It has factual information about the district. One of the facts that were in the form is what your tax rate is. So since we're changing the tax rate, we have to update the form. Also attached to the form is the notice to purchasers that folks receive when they buy property in the district. That also lists the tax rates. We update that notice exhibit as well. The motion to approve that amendment.
Okay. Have a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve the amendment as described.
Second? Yeah, we got a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Receive the regular monthly SRA Woodlands Division report. Okay, Ed?
Good afternoon. If you will go to page 26, no, excuse me, 28. Sorry, I wasn't as prepared as I thought it was. That is the first page of the report. The report looks a little bit different. We've got a quick summary there towards the top of the page. Our water blend is 50-50 groundwater, surface water, which is what the budget was for. And this is reporting, I believe, 11 months for the budget. Woodlands Division celebrated 50 years of serving the Woodlands community. And so we produced some videos that you may or may not have seen on Facebook, and you can see the individuals that we have included in the videos. Page 29, call your attention to the water loss. That is a combination of WWA's and SRA's water loss, because we meter at the well and you all meter at the customer. So it's a combined system. We budget for 4% and it's running a little bit above the budget because of some leaks that have occurred. You can see the trend chart next to it for the year. We've had some really good months and then we've had some not so good months. On page 30 is our wastewater compliance report, where on the left side, it gives you permit information, when the plants were built and expanded, the permit renewal date. And so we'll start next May preparing the draft permit renewal. It takes about 6 months to prepare the permit renewal and then 6 months for the TCQ to act on that permit. We're not proposing any changes to the permit limits unless the TCQ comes back and says you are going to change.
Is it a 5-year validity every time it's renewed?
Yes.
Okay.
Some are on 3, some are on 5, but all of these are on 5 years. And then on the right-hand side of that page, you can see the flow volumes at each of the plants for the last 12 months. And then down at the very bottom right, you can see where we are in compliance with our permit plan. There are, at the bottom of page 31, you can see the 2 charts for work orders and maintenance, preventive maintenance and corrective maintenance. And I think we've also sent out some information on the 5-year trends on that information. And then starting on page 32 through 35, 36 is our current status of our projects, and be happy to answer any questions there. And then starting on page 40, or excuse me, 38, is the surface water program monthly report.
36, we're still on track for February.
Page 36.
The digital water system.
Yes, because we just authorized that for the 3rd phase.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Ed, on, I guess on page 30, it's not really reflected on 30, but are there any new TCEQ requirements imposed on wastewater or on freshwater for the coming year?
We're not aware of anything. Some people are getting an ammonia limit. We have not. So we've been pretty thankful for that. And some have gotten a phosphorus. Well, let me back up. I think we've always had an ammonia limit. I meant phosphorus. Some entities that are, depending on where they are discharging, may end up with phosphorus limit.
Any changes on the PFAS or any of those
No.
odd chemicals? Okay.
And this is just a curiosity question. On page 31, the preventative maintenance, it's 30 seconds worth of description. Are you, is the SGRA using just third-party software for projections on when things should be treated?
We have yes, we have a third-party software that we input information in and pull work orders out of.
Okay, thanks.
And that's what helped make up a lot of the information that HDR and some of our other consultants have used in their studies.
You installed that.
That's, the EAM system's been in place with Woodlands at least 10 years.
Are we still tracking viruses in the water?
Not that I'm aware of.
Didn't mean we.
It's a collective we. And then Fred mentioned the Bear Branch maintenance report, which was sent to you separately because I was a little slow in getting that distributed.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Do we have a, any line in here to discuss the Conroe settlement?
That's probably
Trustee.
trustee report.
It's in the trustee reports on page 59.
We've been talking about it. under
Yeah.
that
For a while.
Line item.
So the trustee meeting has a tape that discussed, that has a Page Law Firm, I forget his first name, discussing it. So if you want detail, that's probably the best place to go to listen to the presentation.
And then the presentation that was given is in your packet here. And the electronic copies of all those amendments and agreements and the global and the second and the third, they were emailed to everybody. And
I got that 47 pages.
exactly. And then we have a paper copy. It looks like maybe one left. But we can get a paper copy, but that was sent electronically to everybody as well, last week. Maybe early, I think it was last week.
You could hold that for me. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm more analog than digital. Fine. Question on the, are there any agreements the SJRA has undertaken with any water entity that could affect Mud 46 in the coming fiscal years? Recent ones.
That's a pretty wide open
But,
Fred.
yeah, it is, and I apologize for not being more specific because as I wade through some of these, and that's not a negative, it's just that there's a lot of information to go through, and I'd rather get your interpretation as opposed to me interpret it incorrectly. So
It has an impact directly on Mud 46?
yeah,
No.
on the cost structure.
No.
Okay.
Now, I'll add no with caveat. The GRP, if you're talking GRP related,
Yeah.
we're working with Mud 88, 89. We do have an agreement with them to sell them surface water if they build their infrastructure to transport it. And that will not have a negative effect to the rates.
As I take that statement and look at the agreement that was executed between the city of Conroe and the SJRA, there are a number of flashing amber lights to me on decisions that were made that we did not have any vote in or say in. I brought it up last meeting and you addressed it by saying, no, it's between you guys. Is there any type of agreement that is in place recently or is planning to get placed between the Woodlands Division and the SGRA that could affect?
I'll answer it the same way I answered it in the previous meeting. There's no negative effect on the rates because of the settlement with Conroe. And I say it,
But the money.
let me
Go
finish.
ahead, please.
I say that because we're selling more surface water to Conroe and they are paying the rates. You know, in our current budget, we've reduced the GRP rate 5 cents. There is a potential for the increased surface water sales to continue to lower that GRP rate, which will be passed down. And then subject to the final decision of what happens with the 18.8 million, whether if it's bond defeasance, that will have a positive impact to the rate, or if it goes into operating maintenance, that will have a positive impact where we're not having to add back to the rate to have a reserve. So overall, it's positive.
I'm under the impression that the Woodlands Township MUDs do not have any say in the agreement with the Woodlands Division and the SGRA contract.
You're welcome to share your opinion. We're happy to hear it. I think.
Oh, we don't make any decisions. It's the Woodlands Division.
The Woodlands Division does. They have the
MUDs
contract.
don't.
And the reason is, just to clarify, the wells are entitled in our name, the water plants are titled in our name, and so that's who's receiving the surface water. We are passing it on to you. As we have in the past, if there is a surplus, that is passed back to the Woodlands Division, which we end up passing on to the MUDs.
In some cases, yeah.
All but one case. This last bond defeasance, we did not do a credit because that was not what our board chose to do.
That created the 4-cent drop in the rates.
4 to 5 cent drop in the rate, yes. So you're benefiting from the bond defeasance and the shorter debt.
It may be helpful to those directors who want to be involved and understand the complexity of the relationships, contractual relationships that we've got, and the few constituents that we have that have any interest in what's going on in our water supply, to have the SGRA write up a summary that we could put on. Well, that's why I asked for a copy of that. Yeah, so, well, I have it right here, along with all my notes. Is this available, and has it been promoted on our website as how constituents, residents can look this up?
I don't know what's on your website.
Okay. I asked the question on our website. Do we have access? When I get phone calls about what's going on, I've got my opinion. I don't agree with some of the things that are done, but that's neither here nor there. The decision's been made and we got to live with it, right, wrong, or otherwise. But my concern is, from what I read into the bullet points that are in this report, starting on page 67, that they're given, the city of Conroe was given more water rights than they started with. There was no penalty for any of the holdback for the money. We received no interest for the money that was held back for the years in which they did it. And all of the things that are listed here, I mean, they're clear that we could all read that. These, in my opinion, are not good business decisions. And I understand that we're not a profit organization, but we should be doing things that are defensible to our residents if and when they ask us. And I can't defend many of these things. It looks so one-sided from my perspective, and you can read these just like I can. I'm not going to read them to you here. It just Montgomery County put a moratorium on developer growth.
No, Conroe did.
Conroe, I apologize. Conroe did. Yet they're given more rights for growth. That's not, from what I didn't see the contract, so I can't make this statement, that we don't have any type of involvement with. And it just seems to me that you have a resource, water, that in certain times of drought, there's going to be shortages. And my concern is that with all of the added growth potential that's approved and Conroe really getting no negative performance requirements. It talks like here, future fee payments are guaranteed. Well, they were guaranteed before, didn't start. Well, when I read that agreement and the
What got guaranteed
Yeah.
is the amount of groundwater.
Okay.
They,
So if we're short on groundwater,
well, let me finish.
okay, please.
If they only use 3.5 billion gallons of groundwater, they have to pay for 4.
Okay.
So the 4 is the minimum floor.
Okay.
They're using more than that. And as they develop more of their internal infrastructure, they are adding wells. Those wells will be paying groundwater fees. So the system as a whole would benefit from Conroe not only getting more surface water because they're paying the going rate, just like everybody else is, and they'll be paying the going rate for the additional groundwater. But they will always guarantee 4 billion.
Okay. Which at this point, they're going to be using for the foreseeable future, more than that.
Correct.
Okay. Still doesn't negate my observation, but it's a done deal and I got it. So.
Have you ever been in a litigation settlement where both parties were satisfied?
Well, yes, but that's, again,
A rare occasion.
it's a for-profit situation, and that's not what we're dealing with here. Because you inform me of that much as Eric has. You know, when I view this through the lens of how do you manage a budget properly, how do you manage a business properly, in all my experience, it's for-profit organizations. And I know that that's not what we have here, but I still can't help but believe in my heart of hearts that for me to serve our constituents to the best of my ability, I need to focus on what's right for them, and pushing rates down and minimizing expenses and increasing revenue where we can are the most important things that should drive our business decisions at Mud 46. And that's how I view it. I understand it's narrow. I understand it excludes your guidance and Eric's guidance, and I'm not arguing with it. You have your point of view. I've got mine. I have a hard time coming to grips with the whole thing because I don't see how the MUDs can cure defaults to these agreements. And the way things stand now with this agreement that was just been signed, we can't. And I find ourselves being potentially whipsawed by the city of Conroe. And it's troublesome to me. And I'm just verbalizing that. So that's how I feel.
Well, and Brian will help clarify this if need be. This settlement was settled with prejudice, so they can't go through this again.
I hope that's the case.
Can we do it? I mean, can we?
You're
make
welcome to Conroe
No.
as often as you like.
Arbitrarily decide we're not going to pay the rate and we're going to put the money in escrow and drag it out for a few years like they did and then come up with a settlement.
Well, over the term, the number of years that they did it, we would have probably 25% worth of interest that we would have accrued, which on our current pay scale or rate payment, that's a lot of money. That's millions. In fact, I believe the number I looked at here was for all of the Woodlands MUD was $14 million back of the envelope. And that seems to me to be worthy of interest by somebody besides me. Now, apparently the other MUDs are not that concerned about it.
We've heard comments.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
I have one thing
I
I'd like
personally
to,
have heard comments today.
I'd like to point out. So in this, and I'll say this, I think this is a future agenda item next year. So in this agreement, it's called the global agreement. It's an amendment to the GRP contract. And what surprised, I think, every trustee is that we thought, like the other 180 participants, that we, as the MUDs, would get a vote. And it turned out we don't get a vote because the contract's between Woodlands Division and SGRA. So I think we need to look at this agreement because we haven't had time to digest it and have a discussion about it next year, because we have all the other 180 some people.
Participants with the
149.
149, okay, 149 participants will get to individually vote. So everybody gets to vote except us.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, we don't get to vote, they vote for us. And the question we have is, do we want to provide guidance? But I think we need to understand the global agreement. There's some things that kind of, stand out, but we haven't had time to digest it and discussion and be honest between what we have and the end of the year. It doesn't have to be voted on until January 1, 2027. So we have plenty of time. I think next year we should go back to this topic after we all had time to read it, consult with the attorney, get interpretation. And as a group, maybe
Meaning all of the MUDs.
well, let's just leave the detail to next year. Because I think, the reason I say this, we have a lot to do.
Yes.
And
We have 30 minutes left.
I know some of the participants, I kind of would like to get some other observations. You know what I mean? And
If I could just step in here, because
yes, please.
yes, this is an item for next year. What I anticipated that we would do is we would have an item on the agendas next year at the same time, asking for input from all the directors.
Right.
We would gather that input on how you read it and your comments
Right.
around the various pieces of it. And then we would kind of collate those comments. And it was said in the trustee meeting from SGRA that they would receive that comment, because they believe that they do expect that there might be some requested modifications to some of the language. And so I think the first step is for us to all review it. Now you got a few months. We'll do it probably, I don't know, early spring,
Yeah.
first quarter probably. But in the meantime, I really would encourage y'all to read that global amendment that's in there. That's
Not the summary, but the
No,
actual.
no, there's,
It's in the document you got in your email. It's 47 pages. It's like 6 pages.
well, yeah, six of the, yeah.
Six of the 47.
There's the second amendment, third
Right.
amendment, the global. The global one is the one to look at.
Yeah, I
Read
haven't,
that.
I have not read it yet. I've read that, the summary, but I have not read that. And we got it a few days ago.
So what,
We'll have to also get clarification from the River Authority about whether what they're seeking is, what I heard from Aubrey was they wanted feedback from the districts about whether they support or don't support the global amendment. Whether or not there's another avenue of we would approve it if these changes are made.
Yeah.
That I don't know if that's on the table or not, because then you got potentially all 80 participants providing comments, and I don't know what the arrangement is with the city, if it's an up or down vote just on what was approved as an attachment to the settlement agreement.
We've got to have
It is.
85%.
of the participants agreeing to the global amendment for it to go into effect. And if we don't get that, then we end up with a contract revision, which is the city of Conroe.
But that just means it's an up or down vote on what the attachment is to the settlement agreement, not approval of a modified version. So,
except Mitch did suggest that was gonna happen.
so we'll need to get clarification from the River Authority about whether they're willing, because before everybody takes a bunch of time, that's just what I'm thinking about, takes time to go and provide revisions. We want to make sure that they are in fact going to, consider those and bring those back to the city for possibly revised version of a global amendment.
Mhm.
That's a fair amount of effort for all the directors to go through and, provide
Yeah.
comments to the forum.
Question, this will be handled, the questions, much like the engineering report was handled. Feedback will come in from the different directors, maybe summarize
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I thought that was a good format. Since I'm not an engineer, I couldn't add anything to it. I didn't contribute because any contribution I had would be meaningless because I'm not an engineer. But on the business side and on the contractual law side, I think I've got enough experience to provide some insight. The same thing, and I'm going to bring this up again. When we get to the point of having to put together the contract for the bonds, I really would like to have the same process where the SJRA or the WWA or our attorneys give us this with enough advance notice that we can make comments, because again, there are many observations that I had that I put in a previous reports where it is unilateral. And I do have problems with it, and it's not good business, and it's not good for our constituents. And I'd like to hope that we could agree to that we would have access to this in advance. Is that what we can agree to?
I'll have to check to see if
So we're running out of time.
We have time.
No,
That's true.
no, I mean, today.
That's true.
Okay, let's go on. So, thank you, Ed.
Yes, sir.
Discuss and act on water line renewal plan and analysis completed by the HDR engineers.
So, last month, the trustees requested SJRA to work with WWA to come back in October or in the future with some recommendations. We've been working on some things behind the scenes. And then we had a meeting yesterday with a handful of directors to kind of go through the scope of a number of the projects that were delineated in the HDR report with HDR themselves. And I feel like we had a really good meeting, and we really gained some perspective on why they scoped certain segments in the certain projects. It's not just about brakes. It's not just about condition. There's a lot that goes into it. They recognize that in some cases, it's like there could be a spur that comes off of it that, why would we do that one? Well, there was a break and it's a moderate condition. And so you kind of have to make a judgment call. Do we add that spur or we don't? They admitted that there was some conservatism in adding certain spurs that weren't completely red, or whatever. So what we're going to do, which we are already doing, is going back through that kind of along the same lines that we did yesterday in the meeting, and identify a recommendation for the MUD scope board with probably a modified scope of projects going forward. I suggested that we keep the full scope at least identified in the 10-year project plan, but recognizing that there's a portion of that number that is not the base case or not the base project, because my concern was if we just cut it all now and what we would do for the items that get carved off right now is monitor those segments. Because, if there's a project gets delineated in year 7 and in year 5, we start blowing up with brakes on that segment, well, then we need to add that back in. But we got time to monitor that. We can identify best case right now and then monitor those that we carve off, not dismissing them, but just saying this is not the base, monitor. And we get to year 6 or 7 on that project and say, yeah, we still haven't had a break on that. Okay, let's stay carved off. We got a bunch of breaks that might decide to come back on. So that's kind of the theory behind what we would come back with you.
So we
So we would come back to trustees and the MUDs in October, and then MUDs can direct your trustee to give guidance to SJRA at the November trustee meeting, and in which case the projects would then get placed on the 10-year project plan, which will then allow us to do some of the financial modeling to see how we'll fund some of the stuff. So
the meeting was held yesterday, an hour and a half. I think we had 5 or 6 MUD directors there, I think.
in person, if you on
It's on the, you posted it so you can watch the detail of what happened. I guess the way I would describe it, Ed has agreed to take the 7 projects, and I'll use Woodlands Parkway, which is probably the most serious one we have. And so he would put like Woodlands Parkway is the Woodlands Parkway itself as the major project. And then he'd have like A, B, and C. So there are 3 spurs that go off there. One is Terramont, one is with a branch crossing, and the other one is, I forget, it's another one. And And basically, in that case, he would have 100-foot section, to manage the Woodlands Parkway, and then he would list A, B, and C, the 3 spurs, and put a price on it. So that model is what, when we left the meeting, that we would expect to see next week. So we get the major project in the menu next month.
Give us,
Yeah, next. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, this is the second meeting we've had with the consultant. And I thought this was by far the best, and we've made progress. And I think that the mud directors have been working on this left, in a positive way. I think we made progress. We have a way forward now that we can move to approve this, and we'll see what comes out. I mean, we'll see what comes out, but that's my impression. But you can watch the tape
Okay.
and see all the dialogue.
Before we end the meeting, we're close to that point, right?
no.
Well, we have,
Sorry, we have.
no, we're not.
We're only on,
We're on
We're on
17 and
17.
it has 25
Speed up
items.
real quick, though, because there's not much left.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I didn't want to move off of 17 yet.
go ahead.
So you were referring to the trustees meeting from.
No, I'm talking about,
When
we
you
had
were
a
talking
meeting
about recording.
yesterday.
Okay, because you mentioned a recording, I thought.
There was a recording of the meeting
Oh, you
yesterday.
recorded it yesterday's meeting. Okay.
There's
Got
a
it, got it.
recording yesterday. You can watch the discussion with the
Perfect. Yeah,
7,
that's helpful.
8 of us.
And it gives perspective on how HDR scoped out each of those projects
Okay.
and why they included certain spurs that otherwise, if you just looked at brakes or you just looked at that
Yeah.
condition, it might not have made sense of why they added it. They explained why they added it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. I think what's going to be helpful once we move into, in the future, a request for approval from the different boards is to have that notion of some prioritization criteria that helps us to inform it, because
There's not, no, he explained that yesterday.
that there's no
There is no-
prioritization criteria.
There is no equation that will get to what.
I'm not asking for an equation. I'm asking for a prioritization criteria that can be articulated as
Yeah.
English prose, someone who can be
I
able
think we
to
got the
say.
best we could hope for in that meeting yesterday.
Okay,
I'll be honest with you. I mean,
because someone's prioritizing,
well, no,
right? So
I
it would
think,
be great to have with the recommendation. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. You're going to present to the,
you're
board
gonna get
members.
7 projects like we agreed upon.
Mhm.
The difference is, let's just use Woodlands Parkway. That's the number 2 project. It'll say Woodlands Parkway with a value, and then it'll say 3 spurs, A, B, and C. It'll have their name, let's say Branch Crossing. It'll have a value. Okay, and what the intention here is that we can monitor those spurs and decide at the appropriate time whether to add them into the project when it comes due based on future break occurrences. So this way, we kind of get, we get the little, mama bear, papa bear, baby bear, right? We get the main one, and we have some options that we can exercise later based on future data. And I think that's what I understand it. And I think, I mean, I.
okay.
You've
well,
been
what-
engaged in a lot of this
Yes, what would
conversation.
not be clear at this point, we can table it for the
Yeah.
future, is whether the presentation or the content that would be presented to the board members is a request to approve a set of projects with associated numbers, or whether what would be presented is, these are the numbers that we want to fund in this
We're
sequence
gonna
over a
create
10-year
a
period.
10-year plan.
Okay.
That's what we're approving, right? A 10-year plan, and then there'll be other steps beyond that. But right now, we just come to an agreement, which I leave with pretty much, with the 10-year plan is going to include those 7 projects with the spurs. And that's what I
Not
expect.
all 7 will be in the
Maybe
10,
not.
just because of timing.
Yeah, tier 3s will likely be extended a little past 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tier 1s and 2s, or that's 5 projects they'll be placed in the 10 years.
3 would be Woodlands Parkway, Grogan's
Tier
Mill.
1 and 2s, there's 5.
There's 7.
Right.
So forget 1. By
No.
town center.
So there's 7 projects. 2 of those are tier 3s. What I'm saying is those would be placed beyond the 10-year.
Oh, tier 3 place beyond 10-year?
Likely.
Okay, that's good.
So
Okay,
the other ones would.
five will be closer in and we'll have, some of them will have will have options,
Correct.
options.
Correct.
So,
That's correct.
I mean, we've done a lot of discussion on this and I felt the last meeting was, I think we've finally found a path forward. I mean, that's my impression, you know, we didn't take a vote afterwards, but we've, you know, somewhat talked. And, you watch the tape, you can see the
You
interaction.
can see the interaction, which is really eye-opening
Yeah.
as to how they looked at it.
Yeah,
What
that's right.
criteria they were ranking.
Mhm.
They go through all that.
Okay.
And how is that listed on the, Google Drive? Or is it on the website?
Where we post the video.
YouTube,
On YouTube.
meetings, yeah, YouTube.
No, yesterday's easy. We post that.
It will be also on YouTube.
YouTube.
And you know, there was a lot of, there's been 2 or 3,
That's where our videos are posted.
That will be probably under the Little Water channel.
there've been 2 or 3 sets of questions answered and all that. And, you know, and we kind of got past the questions and into practical examples. And I think that was a positive versus dwelling on your answers. And I mean, there's now like 57 questions. And really, the most of the time was spent looking at individual projects and getting an explanation of the logic used to put these in.
That's right.
And that's, you know, obviously I was, you know, we have, some people have a lot of practical experience in this topic, and I'm not directors. I grew up in the discrete world, not the process world, so I'm not used to dealing with risk, this discussion on risk, but we have people who are, and they kind of left satisfied. They viewed it as a positive. And I guess we need to see how Ed and Eric put it together to reassure, you know. And we get to vote. Okay. Are we finished? Any more questions with 17? No
Do we
questions?
need to act on 17?
No.
Okay.
No action. No action. 18, discuss and act on Bear Branch Dam modification project. Kind of,
Nothing else.
nothing else. We kind of did that. Okay.
Well, I just have, and we can table this if it's, I just wanted to throw the idea out there that the criteria for deciding how to do the potential pro rata share in the future. You're looking at me puzzled, so I want to make sure I'm being clear. So, yes, I wanted to just throw the idea of using the risk of floods, using floodplain data, 100-year floodplain, 500-year floodplain. I know it would be a little bit more complicated.
Way too complicated.
Okay.
We got to simplify that.
Okay.
There was
Appreciate that. I really, and I think that empirically that would make a lot of sense. I don't think we can get there going that direction.
so
I was just viewing it as a
there was
risk,
another study,
insurance risk.
Walnut Creek, and what's the other creek we did, in which they did flood data for mud 46. And we have some spots I have in my folder, and it, you know, me visualizing what we went through, I would think that'd be a very difficult, you know, thing to, and be honest with
It
you,
actually would not, anyone with GIS
because you find most
expertise.
of the flooding is going to be down in Groker's Mill.
Yes, so in the paperwork, the background information for Schnabel, they had the GIS maps that list the different floodplains downstream from the Bear Branch. And so you can use ways to,
I have that document.
it's less complicated than it seems.
I have that document with me.
Yeah.
We can look at it
Sure.
after this.
Sure.
And
I just want to mention that as an idea.
Yeah, happy to see it.
Sure.
I'd love
Sure.
to.
yeah, this is occurring probably maybe before you got here. And Bear Branch, Walnut Creek, but I mean, Walnut Creek and,
No, I'm familiar. I mean,
It was-
I got here, yeah.
so we can look, I'll show you the document, but I don't think we realize that next year, that we doing all the flood maps, right? Is it next year or the year after?
Montgomery County,
Not Montgomery County? Oh, okay.
unless there's been something recent.
I thought the federal government was issuing new maps.
And the maps I'm referring to are the modeling that they did in case there was a breach. And so it's not necessarily
there's no
flood
data.
100.
There's no data for that.
In the study, there was some.
That was from our emergency action plan.
Okay. Okay, so wrong document. I
Yeah.
apologize. The ERP. Or action. Thank you.
Okay, we done with 18. 19, receive update regarding the Bear Branch, Panther Creek Branch, Research Forest Drainage Improvement Project.
So, last month we talked about, proceeding the core, cap program. That, application has been submitted to them. In the president's, portal for signature is a letter of support. As you recall, we were wanting to get letters of support. I'm doing that for all the MUDs, township, some other local agencies to try to get letters of support for the project. So that's in your packet to sign.
Do we need to take a vote on it? Do we need to sign that? We don't, okay.
I mean, if you don't want to support it, I probably need to know. And
No.
but we don't need,
Objection.
action. Yeah, we're good. Item 20 is deferral. No, pay request was, made by the contractor. So that's, as soon as they do, we'll process.
Attorney's report,
Don't have anything additional that we haven't already covered.
general manager's report, we kind of covered all that, didn't we?
Nothing left other than a brief cons report.
I'll make it quick. Page 60. I just want to point out a couple things here. Bear Branch Dam, yeah, we will have a piece coming out on that soon from Woodlands Water. Page 61, note the community working group is meeting next Tuesday. They're going to hear from HDR on waterline assessment. There's a presentation next Thursday by USGS on water table levels in our region. You can attend it live. You can watch it live from home on Zoom. We're also going to record that and we'll make sure that that's readily available for you. Make it next Thursday. And you got an in-person calendar on the bottom of 63. Any questions?
And we have brought up the idea about posting on socials, including in our emails, how much rainfall that we got the week before, so people can better gauge how often they need to water their lawns. Are there any plans to do that?
We have a rain check
Right.
and an irrigation recommendation as well, posting every Monday. Yeah. So, on social media. And then we put that in the weekly as well.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so, attorney's report, general manager's report, trustee report, we kind of covered the trustee meeting, well. And, closed session, no closed session, okay. Okay, so any items for next month meeting?
I have one question, for Maureen. If you could turn to page 9. What I took a look at this before, trying to understand where the year will end out. I did a revenue forecast to year end of an additional 5.4 million, bringing the annual total up to approximately 21 million. On the expense side, I did the same thing and got an estimate of approximately 5.7 million, which shows a 300,000 deficit. So I took a total expense maximum of 19.9 million, and that brings the net operating income for the year somewhere between 1.4 and 1.9 million. And that's what I'm kind of focusing on to see if we're going to hit about 1.9 or do a little bit better.
It's 1 month left. I'm not sure. We'll
Okay.
see.
Yeah, you can see our projected actuals here on.
Okay, yeah, I did
It's not
that.
near the number you just mentioned, so.
Oh,
With only 1 month unknown, so
Right.
okay.
5 million might be.
Started raining a little bit last month, so that could affect income.
I don't think we'll get much refund this year.
I'm sorry?
I don't think we'll get much refund this year.
Okay,
My,
that's where I was going.
yeah, I got a device called the Tempest, and it records the water at my house. And it's amazing. We've had a lot of rain, a few days this week. So, okay, so, Alan Hedren, he asked us to take action. Can we put that on, discuss and act on the agenda next month, where we can?
Well, we have one question. To me, it's binary. Is what the residents doing against the law or not?
Why don't we discuss that next month?
Next month, okay.
And we can have that thought.
Okay.
I don't know at the moment. Brian can tell us. I mean,
If y'all want to have it on there, we can put it on there and then we'll probably have any discussion, probably closed session.
closed session.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, I'd like, yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Anything else? Have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll show. What's that? Yeah. It's not official.